The story begins with a small charter plane cutting across the emptiest stretch of America, the Great Basin Desert. That vast, dry expanse of sand and dead lake beds stretching between the Sierra Nevada and the Rockies. 6 geologists and their pilot are heading home after 3 weeks mapping a remote mineral claim. At first, everything feels routine. Clear skies, calm air, nothing but silence and sand for 100 miles in every direction. But without warning, a wall of orange dust rises out of nowhere and swallows the plane whole. The cabin shudders violently. Metal groans under the strain. A sudden gust slams into the fuselage, and one engine flames out completely. Captain Nathan Cole fights the controls with everything he has, but the plane is losing altitude fast, spinning through a storm so thick the ground has completely disappeared from view. Inside, people are thrown from their seats. A support strut tears loose and crashes through the cabin wall, crushing everything in its path. Then the plane clips a rock ridge, tears violently in half, and slams into the desert floor, carving a scar hundreds of feet long before finally grinding to a stop in a cloud of dust and debris. When the wreckage finally goes silent and the survivors claw their way back to consciousness, they realize 2 of their friends are already gone. Captain Cole has a broken arm and a deep gash across his forehead. Outside, the storm is still raging, and sand begins pouring into the wreck through every broken window. Within minutes, the entire fuselage is buried beneath the dune, sealing the survivors inside in total darkness. Hours pass. Then, slowly, the wind finally dies down, and the plane reappears, half swallowed by sand, but intact enough that the survivors are still alive inside it. They dig their way out and immediately check their supplies. What they find is grim. Barely 3 weeks of food and water for 8 people, in a place where the nearest town is over 100 miles away, and their radio is completely dead. Reddy, the oldest of the group, warns that nobody survives a solo walk across the basin in July. A single gallon of water disappears through sweat before you've gone 10 miles under that sun. Even the most confident among them has to admit he's right. Grief-stricken, but with no other choice, the survivors bury their 2 dead companions beneath the desert sand, knowing their real fight is only just beginning. That night, exhausted, everyone sleeps inside the broken fuselage. But sometime after midnight, one of them, a young geologist named Davis, steps outside and never comes back. In the morning, his tent flap is open, his boots are missing, and his footprints spiral outward into the dunes before simply stopping, as if he'd been lifted straight off the ground. The group searches for hours and finds nothing. What unsettles them more than his disappearance is what Kelly swears she heard the night before. A low, droning hum rolling across the dunes like something breathing in the dark. The others try to dismiss it as wind, but it happened right before Davis vanished, and no one can quite shake the feeling that they aren't as alone out here as they thought. Fear turns to friction fast. 2 of the survivors try to slip away in the night with extra water, planning to walk out alone rather than wait and starve. Captain Cole catches them, and the argument boils over into a fight. A jug of their precious water is smashed in the struggle, spilling uselessly into the sand. Everyone watches their margin for survival shrink even further. Into that chaos steps
Someone has
Elliot
to take
Reyes,
responsibility
the
for this
quietest
mess.
member of the team.
If we reconfigure
He tells
the
them
primary
he
drive
spent
shaft using these
every
schematics,
spare
we can
hour
get the
since the
hydraulics working
crash
again.
studying the
You
wreckage,
can't be serious.
and he believes that with the 2 shattered fuselage sections, they can build a smaller aircraft capable of getting them out.
You
He
expect me to
claims he's
believe
designed
that?
working
After
aircraft
everything
before.
that's happened, it doesn't
Captain
matter what you
Cole
believe,
doesn't buy
Nathan,
it
this
for a
is the
second.
truth.
Building a
Truth?
plane by
You don't
hand
know the
in
meaning
the
of the
open
word.
desert with
I'm
no
done with
tools
this.
but what they can
Arguing over a
scavenge
diagram
sounds
won't
like a
fix the fact that we're
fantasy
stranded
that
out
will
here.
waste the
But
little
Captain,
time and water
The
they have
schematics
left.
clearly show.
The next morning brings a second disappearance. Little has wandered off before dawn. Cole finds him at the edge of the crash site, kneeling beside the body of one of the 2 who died in the crash. Little says he came back for his late brother's watch, but it's gone, stripped clean off a corpse that no animal touched. Whatever took it left no tracks at all.
Little asks Cole why he's so against Elliot's plan. Cole finally admits the truth. He doesn't want to hand people false hope for a plane that will never leave the ground. Little answers quietly. If we can't give people happiness out here, the least we can do is not take away their reason to keep trying. The words land harder than Cole expects. By the time they walk back to camp, he's changed his mind. Under Elliot's direction, the group starts stripping the wreckage by night when the heat is survivable, resting through the punishing days. Captain Cole keeps everyone on a strict schedule to make sure nothing goes to waste. One night, a stray spark from their welding torch ignites a fuel drum, and the resulting blast destroys most of their remaining fuel, leaving only enough for a single flight, if the aircraft ever flies at all. Days later, while scouting for a flatter stretch to use as a runway, Kelly stumbles onto something the group never expected: the rusted-out skeleton of another aircraft, half buried at the base of a dry wash, decades old, its paint long since stripped away. Inside, they find a logbook from a 1950s mining survey crew. The last entries describe the same droning hum, and a warning scrawled in shaking handwriting: "Don't follow the light in the dunes." That night, the humming returns, and this time, Little is the one drawn toward it, walking straight into the dark with no memory of leaving his sleeping bag. Cole catches up just before Little steps off the lip of an old collapsed mine shaft hidden beneath the sand. Following the beam of a pale, flickering light down into the opening, they finally find Davis. He'd fallen into the very same shaft days earlier, drawn by that same ghostly glow, still flickering below. It's swamp gas, venting up through decades-old timber shafts, glowing faintly in the dark. And the eerie hum is nothing supernatural at all, just desert wind pouring through a network of hollow tunnels beneath the dunes, amplified like a giant flute. The mystery finally has an answer. It just came too late for Davis. Grief turns to determination. The group throws themselves into finishing their aircraft, which they've started calling the Coyote, in honor of the one animal tough enough to survive out here without help. But as they're fitting the single massive wing into place, the chain hoisting it snaps without warning, and the wing crashes down onto the frame. For a moment, everyone believes months of work has been destroyed in an instant, until Max climbs out from underneath, laughing, and shouts that the impact actually seated the wing perfectly into place. With the Coyote nearly finished, a violent electrical storm rolls in off the mountains. Lightning threatens to strike the fuel-soaked frame at any second. Everyone runs for cover. Everyone except Elliot, who refuses to leave the aircraft he's poured everything into. Cole sprints back through the storm and drags him clear just as a bolt of lightning strikes the exact spot where Elliot had been standing seconds earlier. It's in the storm's aftermath that Cole finds an old design magazine tangled in the wreckage, full of photographs of remote control model aircraft that look exactly like the Coyote's blueprints. The truth finally comes out. Elliot has never built a real airplane in his life. He designs scale models for hobbyists. Furious, Ian gets in his face, certain the plane is a death trap built by a fraud who's been lying to them for weeks. But Elliot doesn't back down. He says the physics don't care whether the aircraft is full size or a model. He built the Coyote to the exact same principles either way.
Let go of me.
Cole steps between them before it turns into something worse.
You attacked us first, Cole.
The group has no real choice left. They push the Coyote out to the makeshift runway they've cleared by hand. When Cole finally starts the engine, it sputters and dies again and again. Each failed attempt draining a little more hope out of the camp. On what everyone quietly agrees will be their last try, the engine finally catches and roars to life. There's no time for celebration. The Coyote was built for weight, not comfort. There's no cabin, just a stripped-down frame the survivors have to grip onto as it races down the makeshift runway. The strip runs out early, dropping straight into a ravine, and for one gut-dropping second, the aircraft plunges downward with absolutely nothing beneath it. Then, impossibly, it catches the air. The Coyote climbs, slow, shuddering, but climbing, lifting 7 survivors out of the one place in America that almost made them disappear without a trace. Below them, the Great Basin stretches out silent and endless, keeping whatever else it's hiding to itself. What did you think of this story? Let me know in the comments. And if you're new here, subscribe for more survival stories from the world's most unforgiving places. See you in the next one.